EU-AIP Africa Water Investment Summit 2025 in Cape Town, running until the 15th of August. Hosted under South Africa's G20 presidency, the gathering has drawn African heads of state, ministers, global investors, development partners, and the private sector to tackle the continent's $30 billion annual water investment gap. Now, the summit is jointly organized by the Republic of South Africa, the African Union, the AUDA-NEPAD, the AU's Development Agency, and the AU-AIP, which is the African Union's flagship water investment program, aiming to mobilize at least $30 billion a year by 2030. And it's focusing on securing finance for climate-resilient water and sanitation projects. Well, joining us to discuss the significance of this event and what it could mean for Africa's water future is South Africa's Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation, Sello Seitlholo. Thank you so much indeed for joining us, DM, and welcome to the program.
Yeah, a very good morning to yourselves. I'm just joining you outside of the CTICC for better reception, but it's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored.
So, Deputy Minister, why is it especially important for a country like South Africa to be hosting such a high-level gathering on water investment at this time?
Yeah, as you quite correctly know, South Africa is a water-scarce country. We're one of the 30 countries in the world that do not receive sufficient water in order for us to be able to be water secure. We're also facing challenges in and around non-revenue water. We're sitting at over 46% in terms of the water that is potably treated to potable standards that is being lost due to illegal connections, due to failing municipal systems. We also have a problem or a challenge, or rather a crisis, in as far as the state of our raw water quality in the context of pollution. And all of those particular issues and challenges that have been wholly ventilated at the Water and Sanitation in Ndoro that we held in March this year, are the probably at the forefront of why we need to be able to be in a position where we can attract investment into bulk water infrastructure, but obviously with also an emphasis of dealing with the endemic issues at a local government level.
Are there any commitments or investment pledges that have already come in to try and help narrow this annual investment gap of $30 billion?
Well, not as yet, or not that I know of. I mean, we've been wholly invested, of course, in making sure that we're able to receive all the dignitaries since Monday. We welcomed the president of Botswana last night. So I think those are the kind of conversations and those are the kind of things that we will be finding out from today up until Friday. There will be matchmaking investment conversations and bilaterals that will be taking place from today until Friday. So perhaps one would have a better picture of, what kind of pledges have we received, from who and for what projects, because all of the African, as the African continent, we do have over 80 projects that we consider as bankable, and then we will be able to obviously communicate accordingly once the summit comes to a close on Friday.
Rivers know no borders, so I guess collaboration is a big thing. How will this summit strengthen these regional collaborations on shared water resources and cross-border water security?
I think as South Africa, we've done very well in as far as that is concerned. In early May, we also had an investment conference in Lesotho under the Orange Singu River Commission, that is Oresecom. We also have Limcom, and I think the issue in and around that relationship that we've been able to build as South Africa with our neighboring countries, Oresecom obviously encompassing the sharing of water basins between ourselves as South Africa, Lesotho, Botswana, and Namibia has done very well. We've contributed quite significantly as South Africa, Limcom as well. And I think when we we do talk about climate resilient infrastructure and we use the Limcom and Orasacom as examples of how relations can be forged, financed, moving forward, I think those two particular transboundary schemes are an example of that. And of course, it's important to emphasize the point that with the phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands project, of course, that has been marred with delays and increases in budgets. It's also very important to highlight as a major project that we are undertaking as South Africa with Lesotho.
You mentioned 80 bankable projects across the continent. How do you ensure that investors overcome issues that they might have with things like governance and risk to make these investments more bankable?
Yeah, I think that's an important question. I think if you look at, for example, in the context of South Africa, investors obviously have lost confidence, particularly in relation to how municipalities have been governed as water services authorities, because at a national level, we're responsible for bulk water infrastructure, we're responsible for management and regulation of the resource. But in terms of service delivery, in terms of where everything really takes place, that takes place at the local government level. And we know that local government has lost sense of credibility and, in the context of South Africa. And I think also it would take some legislative reforms in order for us to be able to navigate, and making sure that we're able to instill a certain sense of confidence. We are undertaking amendments to the Water Services Act, which seeks to obviously separate or differentiate rather water services authorities and water service providers, with a licensing condition for water services provider to make sure that water services at a local government level is more professionalized. And I think once we are able to do that, we would be able to, of course, then instill that sense of confidence in investors who know that once they invest in water-related projects at that level, they will be able to get value for money. I think it's the only way in which we would be able to go about it. Legislative reforms on our national legislative key principles. I think that's very fundamentally important. We need to be able to, of course, work very hard in making sure that we're also able to reform local government. The National Treasury, of course, has introduced the Metro Trading Entity Program, which seeks to also then separate all of the, like for example, Johannesburg Water, which seeks to be a independent entity within the city of Johannesburg. Its own finances, its own budgets, its own staff, and things like that. So I think that reform is fundamentally important, particularly in the context of metropolitan municipalities in South Africa.
Deputy Minister, we've run out of time, but very briefly, a lot of times these summits have the right people in the room, declarations, commitments made. How do we make sure that there's real accountability and measurable action after this event?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the things that we had a conversation about. But I think Minister Majodina and with President Ramaphosa having elevated water as priority number one, that for me, gives confidence that this is obviously a ministry that understands what are the challenges in the country, and we're working very closely with water boards as water utilities, entities of the department, as well as the whole sector of water and sanitation in South Africa, to make sure that whatever outcomes and whatever investment opportunities that are created from this particular summit, those will be championed within the department and its stakeholders.
Deputy Minister, we wish you the best of luck at the summit, and let's hope that great things come out of it. But thanks so much indeed for your time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. That's South Africa's Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation, Sello Seitlholo.